Welcome back, Lakers family and friends. Today I'm going to take a recipe that we would normally do in class where I have access to all the necessary ingredients, and we're going to try and make it by substituting what we have in our cupboards. We're going to make pizza. For a pizza dough, normally you would use type 00 flour, which is a fine white bread flour, or you can use a mix of strong white bread flour and finely ground semolina. In my case, I only have some strong white flour, so I'm using that. And you know what? If all you have in your cupboards is plain flour, give that a go as well. We're going to sieve it into our bowl. In with the flour, I've also sieved 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to mix them gently together. In my jug here I have 325 mils of warm water. Into that I'm adding my 7 grams of yeast. I'm adding my 1 tablespoon of caster sugar. The recipe actually says brown caster sugar if you have it. I just used ordinary. And I'm also putting 2 tablespoons of olive oil. In my case, I didn't have the olive oil. I've just put in some ordinary cooking oil. I'm going to give that a little stir together. The sugar and the heat will activate the yeast, and what we want to do is to leave it to stand till it starts to froth up. So this is how our yeast mixture looks after it's been sitting for a few minutes. You can see how it's frothed up, and we're going to add this into our flour mix. Nice and slowly we'll add our wet mix into our dry. I'm going to leave this mixing probably for about 5 minutes or more before we then take it out and mix it further on the counter. Once we take our dough out of the machine, we're going to hand knead it for another maybe 4 or 5 minutes on the counter. Then we're going to leave it in a warm place to prove for about an hour, and at that stage then we'll be able to make our individual pizzas. So while our pizza dough is rising, I'm going to show you one of the most simple types of pasta sauce that you can make. It'll go on your pizza, it can go on plain pasta, very easy for anybody to make. Literally 1 carton of passata. You can use chopped tomatoes, but sometimes you'll find that some people don't like the bits in the tomatoes, particularly if you're dealing with fussy kids. Into that I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. I'm going to add 1 crushed clove of garlic, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of Italian mixed herbs. If you had some fresh basil in the garden, now that'd be really nice. And we'll do some freshly ground black pepper. Put the heat on underneath that and merely bring it up to the boil, let it simmer till it thickens up a little bit, and you'll have your delicious pasta sauce. Now I've uncovered my dough. I kept it covered with a damp cloth so it didn't dry out. And you can see from it that it has probably about doubled or even tripled in size. And what I'm going to do now is to give it another bit of kneading, and this will just bring it all back in together again. This should make about 5 pizzas, so you can roughly tear off enough for your 1 pizza. Keep the rest in the bowl and keep it covered with a damp cloth. I'm going to roll out this 1 piece now. You can use a rolling pin. I'm not as fancy as some of our typical Italian chefs. Just try and get it into a round shape. Now I'm going to pop it onto my baking tray. Reshape it there if you want a little. Next we add our tomato sauce that we made earlier. Put a nice layer of that on top, right out to the edges. So once we have our tomato sauce on the base, we're going to add a number of different toppings, making sure of course that your hands are nice and clean. Most people would like a bit of cheese on the bottom. What you put on your pizza is really only limited by your own taste and imagination. I'm going to add some sliced onion next. Then some sliced mushrooms. Just make sure you spread everything nice and evenly around. Next comes some sweet corn. Then I have some baby tomatoes. And you could stick at that if you're a vegetarian. But we're going to add in some ham. This is just ordinary sliced ham chopped into small pieces. Then I also have a little bit of pepperoni. And if you want then, top it off at the end with some more cheese. And it's ready then to go in the oven. Beautiful. That's going to be my dinner tonight.